Started. I would probably have some folks, wake up and join us. I made the mistake of putting 327 on the date instead of 227. I'm already in my brain's already in March, I guess. So for those, I'm glad Randy looked at it and said, "I assume you meant that it's today, not
That's right.
a month from today." And
That's
I
right. The
said,
guy with dementia caught it.
"Yeah." So anyway, I appreciate Randy always keeping me on my toes. So that's good. So
It's a tough
well,
job, but I
this
try, David.
yeah, let's do this. Let's go around and just kind of check in for a minute and just so that we kind of know where everybody's at. We all know each other here, and again, we may have some folks. I had a few folks that hadn't been on that we're talking about that are new to the group that said they were going to pop in, but you know how those things go. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But we're gonna keep going. I am recording this, so if there's anything you don't want to show up in recording later, let me know, and I'll make sure I take it out. So, but anyway, so I'm excited that you guys are here, and I'm excited that we remember that this is the fourth Tuesday, and we're doing the Mastermind, and you guys are always a great resource to everybody here. So let's kind of go around. I was talking about my new adopted granddaughter, and I've got a lot of things going on here. But let's kind of go around. And Randy, since we haven't seen you probably I've seen you off and on or talked to you, but so why don't you kind of give us an
Sure.
update on where you're at and kind
All
of
right.
what things you're looking at. I obviously going a lot. I heard you're staying alive and all that stuff going forward, but why don't you share what's going on in your world?
I guess the biggest thing that David's aware of, the other three of you may not know, is I have been officially diagnosed with early stage dementia. I had a 2-hour face-to-face interview with a therapist who asks all kinds of cool questions, and during the course of the 2 hours, some of the questions I could see that my short-term memory is no longer as good as it used to be. The good news is that I still remember my name, and I can pretty much, and my address and my phone number and all those things, and I pretty much remember everything from my past. It's only recent things. I mean, I remember all you guys and things like that, but every once in a while, um, something will come up, and I just have to really think about it. But it's not affected me in any way. I still go to the Sam Johnson Rec Center 3 days a week and do Scrabble, which is supposed to be really good for you. And I do bingo and, other things and interact with people. And so I'm having a good time. My health is good. I've dropped weight. Some of you may know that. I'm down to, I'm a little 10 pounds over where I'd like to be, but I was down to 146 pounds, which was way below where I should be. So I've started eating again, and I wasn't doing anything radical. I just was just watching what I eat. Now I'm kind of back in the 160 range, which is kind of good where I need to be. So other than that, I haven't been working with anybody recently in terms of assisting them, other than my daughter, who is interviewing with another company. I won't say any more than that. And so we are reading a book together, which is called The First 90 Days, which is a good book for someone who may be transitioning from one position to another. And so I'm, going through chapter by chapter with her and assisting her in that. So I'm still doing consulting, if you will, to my own kid, which is, I'm very proud of her and very proud of what she's doing. But other than that, I'm in reasonably good health. I walk almost every day, at least for 30 minutes at least. I get out there in the sun, and then if on the days I go to the center, I walk there. And other than that life is good.
Well, it's great, Randy, and I'm always glad you're here. And the thing that I know is continuing to stay engaged, and even with
Right.
I mean, life is full of challenge and support, and we all have our own list of challenges. So the
Yep.
fact that you're aware of the challenges, you're working through the challenges, and you're continuing to do what I call the warrior thing, which is continuing to move forward in spite of the challenges. I think that's brilliant, and I love the fact that you're here. And I'm always looking forward to the questions that you might
That's right.
pose.
And I
As
will
we,
add one additional note, just for kind of humor. As you can notice, my hair has gotten a lot longer. I haven't cut it in 9 months, and I don't know what possessed it, but my wife likes it, and all the ladies at the senior center love it. So I got that going for me.
yeah, that works out good. All of those
That's
blue hairs are excited to see you
absolutely,
come,
absolutely,
see
absolutely.
that flowing mane.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Robbie D's hair is getting a little long too.
That's right. Robbie needs a haircut.
Yeah, I think he needs a haircut.
Yeah, good man.
Ricky Jean, why don't you check in, give us an update on where things are at in your world? I know you got a lot of things going on from a business standpoint as well as personal.
Yeah, and my daughter and her family and 3 of my 8 grandchildren are moving to North Texas from Austin. So all of my 8 grandchildren will be in North Texas, and they're moving up to Prosper. And so that's good news for us. She was 18 when she left home, went to University of Texas in Austin, and she's been there 18 years. So she's coming back and going to be closer to us. And I think maybe she decided that, wait a minute, the other grandchildren get Pawpaw and Nana to show up at their soccer games and baseball games and music recitals and stuff. And if that's going to happen for us, we need to live closer. So they worked it out. And
Yeah.
still working on trying to get back some of the business that I lost to my biggest customer in December. My biggest merchant services customer went with a restaurant POS system with a 3-year contract with an early termination penalty, even if they don't like it, which I don't do that kind of thing. And so they were able to go. They did that against my advice, but they did it anyway. And I'm trying to build back some of that business because it turned out to be a pretty big hunk of residual income. And I on the music scene, I found a place in Plano called Cafe Bohemia, and it is strictly a singer-songwriter hangout now. And they've actually took out the kitchen, and it's no longer a coffee shop or cafe. And where the kitchen was, they built a stage. And so we're going to start having once a month singer-songwriter in the round event over there starting in April. And so that was kind of neat. It's been there 18 years and I didn't even know it. It's kind of crazy,
Does that mean there's no food during the entertainment?
Yeah, I think they have, it's going to be like it's like a house concert. They may have bring your own bottle,
Cool.
bring your own food. But it's a very small place, but they get 30 or 40 seats in there, like theater seating. And it's very intimate listening room. So it's pretty cool. And they only do singer-songwriter stuff. They don't do, other kinds of music. So that was pretty cool to find that place.
Yeah. Where's that located at?
It's at Los Rios and Park.
Oh, okay. So up in kind of northeast side of Plano.
Yeah.
So what's if they're not selling food or alcohol, do they charge a cover or they charge?
Well, they don't charge, but what they do is they ask for donations, and that's how they get away around paying the BMI ASCAP royalties. So it's like an event, and the music is happening on stage, and then they ask for donations, and so that's how house concerts are too, because they don't want to advertise that it costs this much, because then here comes all kinds of tax stuff,
Yeah, they want you to pay the fee or whatever for airing the particular songs. Yeah. Okay.
It was a
Cool.
cafe for 15 years, and then they decided it's too much work. Let's just be a music venue. So,
yeah. So Bill and Robbie D, you guys came on at the same time. So you want to arm wrestle, or one of you want to pop up and check in, let us know what's going on in your world.
Beauty before age.
Go ahead, Rob.
I was saying beauty before age, but
That's okay. I'm not offended by that.
well, Dave, thanks for reminding me about my hair, because I've been putting some crap on my head for pre-cancerous stuff. So when you said that, I was like, oh shit, Ned needs to go do that. You know, this getting old sucks, but the alternative is worse. My main problem right now is trying to figure out where these markets are going. I'm scared about commercial real estate. I'm scared about the whole real estate market. I'm scared about the stock market. It's all these indicators say we shouldn't be where we are, but yet we're here. And how do you manage your life or your retirement and future with all this uncertainty out there? So that's what I'm just working on, is trying to get my handle on, where everything is going. And I've been using the ostrich method and just keep my head, on the ground, trying to figure out, just my little brain can't handle it anymore.
So your concern as we look at March and beyond, if I'm hearing you correctly, is just trying to anticipate some of the, with your real estate focus, both commercial and private, and also other investments, you're kind of seeing some craziness ahead, but not sure what that looks like, and not sure. So is that so?
You say that well, Dave.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
But,
So that's.
But all of the general just a question. It's a statement, it really is a question. But all of the indicators that I see, and you obviously look at a lot more detailed things than I look at, but all the general indicators seem to be positive. So talk to me a little more.
Are we in a bubble right now with AI?
Right.
We all lived through 1999, and if I sold in 1999, I'd be in the Bahamas.
Right.
But you worry about everything.
Okay.
And then cryptocurrency. Once they start creating derivatives on other derivatives,
okay,
we see what happens out there. And other than the hype on cryptocurrency,
right.
if China should come in and start dumping, what's it going to do to all these people? And I'm sorry for being so pessimistic.
No.
After doing this since 1980,
right,
the shenanigans, the thievery, the misdirection.
Right. You're in a market that's different than some of the things that the rest of us pursue. So it's interesting to hear what you're saying. So thank you.
And personally, I want to go on vacation. Anybody got some good suggestions? Talk to Lisa.
What's a vacation?
Yeah, there's a lot of destinations.
I'm on permanent vacation now.
We'll circle back around, but Bill, we'll come back to some of these. And Randy, if you make any notes of any questions that occur to you, or any thoughts, that's the whole purpose here, right? We're putting it out there, and then we're all kind of marinating on some of the things that we're hearing, and then the real objective of the mastermind is just, hey, did you think about this? Did you expand, kind of adding each other's brain to our brain to kind of maybe unearth something that we hadn't thought of, or remind us, like Robbie D said, with his ointment on his head, there's things that will stimulate a thought that maybe we can follow through on. So Bill, how about you, buddy?
Yeah. Okay. Well, two of my top 5 Clifton strengths are learner and includer. And so you probably know from our Wednesday meetings that I'm always trying to learn new things, and including how do you go about finding a job these days, and what's the best way to figure out what's the right thing for you. And then the includer is share that with people. And in the last several, well, actually, last week for one, I had meetings in about, let's see, 1, 2, 3 different networking type meetings, men's groups, and some of them were men only, some of them were mixed, where you had the opportunity to share with people and do some one-on-one sharing with some of them. And I just came across a new one in the last day or two that I will go to their meeting for the first time this Saturday and meet some more new folks and have an opportunity to share with them. So I'm seeing more and more opportunities, and some others that are just one-on-ones, that are just one-offs that come up out of the blue for one thing or another, to have an opportunity to sit down and we talk with somebody about what's happening in their life and what's going on, and how can I help them if I can to get through whatever they're going through at the moment. And it's been very, very rewarding. So that's kind of my thing, is to let me tell you what I know. Let me tell you what my experience has been. Of course, I've got at this point in life, I've got many, many years of experience in a lot of different places and areas, physically, emotionally, professionally, etc. And so I can say, well, I'm not sure what the answer is for you, but here's what I found. Here's what happened to me, and here's how I got through that, or here's what happened in that case. So I've been really encouraged. Like, more and more opportunities that kind of keep popping up to either in groups or individually to meet with people. So having a good time, enjoying life.
Good.
And enjoying brief summertime here. So
yeah, that's kind of bizarre, right? So it's
well, it's going to be
weather here. It looks like it's July. It's 90 degrees yesterday or whatever.
Yeah,
so I think that's going to be short-lived. I mean, it's going to go down a little bit. But then I was seeing next week it's going to be in the 80s again. So it's crazy. But so the normal Texas pre-spring roller coaster is on the high side, and I guess there's no guarantee. So let me share my big goal or whatever, and my big focus right now is leveraging what I've been investing my personal time in, and the project that you guys know as Be Connected, but it's a lot different today than it was probably even when some of you guys have come on board. I know Robbie D's been on board for a long time. Ricky's been on board. Ricky's been, staying current and been engaged. And we all use the virtual meeting platform. But as with anything in this space, things will continue to evolve, and they're continuing to get better. And that presents some unique challenges, because a lot of times when people see that things are moving, it's kind of like you're trying to hop on a moving train, and they're saying, okay, I'm going to wait till it gets to the next stop, and I'm going to take whatever vehicle I'm already comfortable with. and then I'll get on at that stop. You with me? And so the biggest challenge I have to that is, number one, trying to identify, in the near term, like today, what people we can use to help people take maybe some baby steps or some next steps into expanding their impact. I see a lot of what I call, and again, this is not a pejorative, this is not being critical. I see what I call zombie behavior every week. We all show up at our weekly networking meeting. We do our 10, 30 second, we say what we're doing, we talk to the same people, we talk to a new person that shows up. We just kind of go through the motions. And I see some people getting some amount of success, but frankly, when I look at it, and again, this is my challenge. This is what I'm throwing out there for you guys to, marinate a little bit on and give me some thoughts, is that I really feel like there's not the uptake of value that people could have if they see what I see, if they see what I do. So I don't know if I'm not communicating effectively. I'm not, people just are really, even though they say they want to have more impact, they want to make more money, they want to do whatever, that, maybe they really don't, or maybe that's, what's called the language of imperatives. Yeah, I need to do that, or yeah, I want to do that, but it isn't up on their level. So I don't know what it is, or I'm sitting here spinning on that myself. So I would also covet that. But before we get into, so process that or think about that for a minute. But looking at what Randy said, the things that he's kind of spinning on, working on, doing his objective to continue to stay engaged and all those things with what he's doing. So I'm just going to kind of open it up. Randy, if you want to start, if you have a question, you have a thought, and then we can just I'll kind of facilitate, if you will.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you started me, because I was writing some notes to respond. The meetings that I've been to, I think they tend to be, and again, this is not a criticism, this is an observation with the intent of helping. They tend to be, each person says their thing, and there's very little instantaneous feedback, very little questioning, other than along the lines of humor. If somebody says something funny, we all get a chuckle out of it, things like that. But I think maybe we need to encourage, and maybe we can start with the 5 of us, encourage people to be more proactive when you hear something, when somebody says something that stimulates a thought. I think sort of the implication is that, okay, I will grab that person, and before the end of the meeting, before he or she leaves, mostly before he leaves, I will sit with them and offer, whatever. And maybe we need to give a few more moments, maybe start the interaction a little bit earlier and give a few more moments for people to offer suggestions off the top of their head and say, if you're interested in this suggestion, I'd be more than happy to sit down with you and explore it together. That's what popped into my head immediately.
Yeah, that's actually, it's an interesting thought. It would require, we're in talking about the Wednesday meeting, depending on how many people are in the room, the immediate dynamic might be a little difficult to manage, but it's not unmanageable. I mean, we could allocate time a little differently or whatever, or say that. Robbie D.
Just to finish that, though, you could start a little bit earlier with that portion and see how it goes. And if it seems to catch on and it demands more time, then you can explore it. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, Robbie.
No, it's okay. But just to follow up on what you're saying is maybe we can have, a topic of conversation at the meetings. Announce that we're going to be talking about how to talk to people. You have questions about that, and just put it out to the group, a topic discussion. Much like Randy was saying, people can talk about what they do, but maybe announce a topic that we can discuss, or people put in suggestions of a topic they'd like to throw out to the group, and everyone could participate. Because
Yeah.
I know a lot of times we don't have enough or nobody's volunteered to be a speaker,
Right.
but maybe we can just have topics of discussion.
Mhm.
Just
I like that, Robbie. I think David, what he's saying is sort of the same thing that I'm saying. Is I think the meetings, or everybody gets their 30 seconds of fame and they say something, and then many other people, subconsciously or consciously, they're worried about what they're going to say, and so they're not listening as much as they could, with the intent of, how do I help this person who's speaking? How do I help each of these people? Some I can, some I cannot. And maybe we need to encourage and create an agenda around our purpose is to help each other.
Speaking of purpose, that's something I touch on every week. And that's one of the main things that my friend Mike and I do with people that are in the job market, or between jobs, or wanting to get a different job, is understanding what your purpose is, what you should be doing, what you were created for. And what we found is that if people respond to that, it takes some effort is the problem.
Absolutely.
Listen to it, you can hear it, but it always requires some effort on the people's part to do something. And the ones that do, it really makes a big difference. The ones that don't, you just don't hear back. You don't hear from them anymore.
Yeah.
The last time I asked a question in the Wednesday meeting, I asked, how many of you know what your purpose in life is? If so, I would love to have a one-on-one with you and find out more about what
Right.
it is and how you came about that, and how you're working on fulfilling that. You got one taker. One hand shot up almost immediately, and it was Michael Dressel. And so I went over and we had a one-on-one after that, and learned a whole lot about him in a very short period of time. That was based on the fact that he and I both knew why we're here, what our purpose is.
Right.
And what he was doing was tied in with accomplishing that purpose through, in his case right now, through helping people with their medical insurance issues. So
there you go. Purpose-driven life, right?
Yeah.
But people, there's action required on people's parts, and I think by and large, people don't want to commit to that right away. They want to think about it.
I think, Bill, good point. I think we shouldn't expect, if we got 15 people in a meeting, 15 hands to go up volunteering it, but one starts a trend. The old snowball theory.
Well, yeah, there's somewhere out there, there's a viral video about a whole bunch of people gathered around, kind of an outdoor concert type thing. And one guy gets up and starts dancing.
Right.
And then a little while later, one other person.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's the flash mob concept.
Exactly.
Before it's over with, everybody's up dancing, So yeah, you got somebody to break the ice and to say so that other people feel like they're not the only one.
Right. And it takes consistency on Dave's part and our part, to not just okay, well, it didn't work this week, so we won't do it again. If we believe it's a good suggestion, if we believe it can help everybody, or whether we help everybody is not important, but we help people who do actually need it, then it's important.
Yeah. But the people that are willing to learn about it, to make an effort to do something about their situation,
exactly,
if they're trying to get past something,
mm-hmm.
Those are the ones you can help. The other ones, you can lead a horse to water, but
exactly,
I won't make them
Yeah,
drink.
you guys have given me some thoughts there in terms of the focus of. I'm going to bring it to a kind of a point, if you will, and that is, how do we instill more aggressive or natural follow-up from having the meeting, and in other words, getting results. And so I get that, and that I don't want this to all be about just my problem, because but you've given me some thoughts there. I wanted to come back to Ricky, actually, because I have some questions, and I don't know, Randy, if you wrote down any questions or not for Ricky. But in the merchant services, we've been together for a bit, and I know that you have some challenges. My question starts with, so when you say you're trying to fill the gap that was left by that major client leaving you, and that's not an unusual thing. I've worked with clients myself, not in merchant services necessarily, but others, where the big client that they have, especially the smaller one that comes to mind, is intellectual property firm who had probably 70% of their business coming from Halliburton, and then Halliburton reorganized and they quit outsourcing and insourced it to legal, so that became a thing. And then it is a journey back to getting to the revenue level, to those things. So Ricky, what kinds of things are you trying at this point, in terms of, or what kinds of things are you doing to do that? Are you just, I feel like you're going to more networking meetings. I don't know I'm not saying that's not the answer. I'm just saying, are there other things that you're doing in that space to backfill that?
Well, one of the things that I think I made a mistake is that because of network meetings, I did get hooked up with this restaurant that we were at, because they knew me. But I'm not really in the restaurant business. That's really not me. And I don't have that kind of equipment. And so one of the things is, who do I feel comfortable with? I'm not going to go out and cold call lawyers' offices or something like that,
Right.
But what I do feel comfortable with is blue collar service people that fix garage doors, plumbers, HVAC guys. Because actually I started out in the world in trade school, and that's where I worked for 6 years before I became a manufacturer's rep. And so I'm going to focus more on that. And actually, Rick Rawson is helping me do that with a plan that he has service contractor networking, which I could be a part of. I'm not a service contractor, but I can be a part of that. I want to actually go back to Dave and tell Dave that he needs to let go of something.
Okay.
He needs to let go of the idea that I'm not convincing or influencing more people to see the value of things. I think you need to let go of that, because I think, as in our society that we live in, we're bombarded with information and opportunities and this and that and this, and there's no such thing as a RSVP anymore. You can have a church meeting at your you can have a small group meeting from your church at your house. You can have a party. You can, you can put an event together, with network marketing people. And to actually get RSVPs is like a miracle. And I
Mhm.
think we live in this age of instant information that everybody thinks they can do everything at the last minute, and they weigh their opportunities and they weigh their choices, and the commitment
Yeah.
is not there.
Yeah.
That's just our society. That's just the way it is. And I think if you don't let that burden you down,
Yeah.
because the people that do see through will 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 join in and get the benefit and get the value, but don't burden yourself down with our whacked out society that we live in, because that's just the way the world is.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Ricky, and that is an encouragement. I think that a lot of times we all try to self focus on things that really we can't control, and
Yeah.
and people's accountability. It's not just integrity, although there's a lot of integrity lacking today in terms of what you do when nobody's watching, kind of thing. That I find people saying one thing or not following through. So I do think I think what you're saying, Ricky, is helpful in that it is one where that shouldn't be my focus. My focus isn't the people that where there is uptake. The question is who is getting the uptake,
Yeah.
and what's working for them. I think is probably a better way to focus. So I appreciate that.
Or maybe a
And
question.
also,
Go ahead,
yeah,
Rick.
and also here, you may have somebody who sees the light and is interested, but they could be exactly like me. I know absolutely that my
exactly like
ducks
you.
are not in a row. I'm not organized. I don't even know where some of my ducks are, and could be that some of the ducks are actually pigeons. So I mean, there are some unorganized people running around like me who are like, uh, it's almost like pulling my teeth to get organized, because I'm sort of a spontaneous, creative, artistic, kind of person. So not only are you leading people like that, like me, to water and telling us when to drink, I still
Yeah.
don't get it, because of the natural tendency for my personality to not be organized.
Yeah, I that's also a great thought in terms of it, again, and this, by the way, this is helpful. I'm
Yeah.
connecting some of these dots. Randy, you had something?
Yeah, I was just thinking kind of along the lines of what Ricky Jean said and others, but question that goes through my head is, when was the last time, or how frequently do we ask the audience of our Wednesday meeting, which is the largest, which I can't make, what do people need
Yeah.
to make their businesses grow? As
Yeah.
opposed to, we think we know what people need, and so we try to provide an environment where those kinds of things can be discussed. So maybe we just need to do a questionnaire. Give me the top 3, 5, 10 things that you need, that if we could find a way, individually or collectively, to help you with those things, would you make your life and your business better?
Yeah. Like the ones you got in the chat this morning.
Yeah.
Let me tag on to that too as well, from a personal perspective, Dave, because I go through this periodically. It keeps coming back when things are kind of slow. There's not much going on. Yeah, I keep doing this, but is anybody paying attention? Am I making a difference at all? I want to have a broader impact on how people think, and
Right.
of picking up, of learning what I've learned, sharing that with them. And what I've learned I keep going back every time I end up back at, well, things tend to grow organically rather
Mhm.
than mechanically.
Right.
You don't build something as much as you plant a seed, and sometimes it's a long time afterwards that you see a sprout coming up, any
Right.
growth coming out of that. But I think of it more in terms of seed planting. That here's a thought, ruminate on that, see
Right.
if it germinates, and if it does, then people suddenly have these aha moments when that
Right.
thing pops up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
sometimes it's a long time in between, and you wonder if why am I still doing this? Am I doing any good? And I can second what the other folks are saying here. You definitely are, Dave. So
Yeah.
keep at
Absolutely.
it, and
You know,
don't be
you just
discouraged.
you just sparked a deep, dark portion of my mind. I just remembered a phrase that I was taught early in my career, is that particularly people like us who consider ourselves leaders, we often have to stifle our need to sell and then replace it with understanding the client's need to buy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And again, I don't see it as first of all, two things about what you just said, just so I can clarify everybody is a leader. It's just who are
Right.
you leading and how
Right.
effectively are you doing it? And
Right.
everybody on this mastermind, everybody that shows up on Wednesday, and everybody that I have a one-to-one with or that I meet with on Be Connected or any place else, they're all leaders. They're all warriors. They're all trying to move forward, and somebody's following them. They may be following them into the ditch, but they're still following them, right? We're all
Right.
leaders.
Right.
I get that. And then the other thing is listening is key. Listening to what we're hearing. I constantly, that's one of, by the way, that's one of the things that I tell people all the time when they say, well, why do you do one-to-ones? What do you do? And I say, because I'm learning. Not only learning what they're monetizing or what they're selling or what they're doing, but I'm also learning how they are reacting to what I'm saying or doing. And I'm learning both ways. And probably the latter is as important as the former, because it allows me to begin to refine and move. And this is kind of doing that on steroids, because you guys it's very direct. And that's the intention of doing this mastermind. I just wish we had a few more minds here, but this is okay. Five is okay.
Yep.
So Robbie D, you had something?
Yeah, just a thought. We have a big group, lots of people coming in. Would you ever consider creating focus groups within our network? Because, the financial people, they have their own set of problems and issues and can help each other. We have people in the Tchotchke area. We have a couple of people that do that. Would a focus group for Tchotchke people be a benefit? Just,
No,
know.
the answer. So to answer your question, Robbie D, that is a great thing I just added it to the list, but that is something that we now have tools, and those tools are being refined to enable us to do that more readily. That's kind of what in Rick's group, because when he first became part of Richardson Plano Networkers, he was doing power groups or whatever. He was doing groups that have narrower, real estate, this or that. And it makes sense from somebody in an area like he's in, where he's trying to market or to promote or to sell. So like Ricky said, he's bringing service providers, and Ricky says, okay, I want to sell to that kind of person. So I'm going to get into that group and see what their challenges are. So that is good. I think the answer is yes. I'm considering that. I don't know that we can do that in the context of our Wednesday meeting. But what we could do is have, and I'm kind of tacitly and is sponsoring, what Rick is doing. We're working, we basically are we're not in competition. We're collaborating. We're looking at things, seeing where things are going. One of the things that's about to happen, and one of the reasons why we haven't rolled out actually the Warrior Networking website, is because one of the components of that is, if you notice our roster and you say, okay, these are the people in financial services, and these are the people in real estate, and these are the people in coaching and consulting, and these are the people in health and wellness areas, whatever it is the intention in that website then would be able to have those affinity groups or those categories, not just a directory, right? But those groups that then would have a group show. Again, I know more about where we're going with the technology, right, than you guys do. Ricky knows this. We're going into a place where we'll have these groups that'll have meetings and shows and things like that we'll be able to do just like we're doing here. We don't have to get in a car, drive across town, go to, Matt's Ranchero, whatever. We won't have to do necessarily. We can still do that locally, but you can do that more broadly. So that is one of the things we're looking at. Let me do this because it's 11:20 and I want to just get the answer kind of on record here, because I kind of threw it out in kind of a check-in thing. But what I'd like is each of you to say what your number one goal for March is. So what is your number one goal? Not your top 10, but your number one goal as it comes to your mind. It's not a right or wrong. It's just, I want to know, because I want to focus on that and I want to follow up with that as we go forward. Is that okay? Because I'm actually taking some of your advice in terms of that and saying, okay, how do we take that and it be meaningful to Ricky or to Robbie or to, and you've each put some things out there, but if you could just give me what is the one goal that I have? And I'm going to come back to, let's see, I'll pick on Ricky because he's too relaxed right now. So I can see you on the screen. So when you're leaning back like this, okay, I'm going to call on you. So Ricky, what's your one goal for March? I know you got others, but what is the one big one?
Well, of course, the one big one is to find a way to be more disciplined and organized. And how I'm doing this consciously is I started in January with a 5-day-a-week reading through the Bible, and I've kept it up. And I've actually managed to go through Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, which Leviticus is pretty tough. But the reading plan helps me because it jumps me to Hebrews while I'm in Leviticus, so I can kind of look back and forth between those two, But my goal was at the beginning of the year was that I'm going to do this in a disciplined manner and be organized, so that will spill over and help me to be organized in other things. And lo and behold, when I was with Dave and a couple of the other he calls them shepherds. What's your word that you use?
Sherpa.
Yeah,
Sherpa.
And one of the ladies in that online meeting said that if you could be more focused on something and have one day that you're focused on this, the next day you're focused on this, a little light went on. It's like, oh my gosh, she's right. If I could somehow figure out how to focus things on a daily basis, because I can't really focus it on an hourly basis because something will happen and I'll get thrown off or something. But today I'm going to work on this. I'm going to get this accomplished today. And she was talking about getting all the be connected things all done in one day, instead of spreading things out. Man, when
Yeah, we
she
were
said that,
talking about, yeah,
yeah, it's
we were
just like,
talking
wow,
about time.
that is something that I need to do,
Yeah. Time blocking is a big one because, again, we're so scattered. I have ADD too, right? So I have to say in this time window, not necessarily a day, but this in this block of time, I need to focus on this, and I need to get to a legitimate break point before I go someplace else. So I have what I would call a micro goal. Have you read this book, Ricky?
Getting things done. Yeah, I have.
David
Good
Allen.
one,
This
huh?
is a great book for getting things done, for
Okay.
being organized. David Allen.
Okay.
This is not a new thing. This is a paperback version, and you can find him, but he's all on organization, getting things done. I'm not suggesting necessarily there's other people that do this kind of thing and have their own version, but it's the concept, if you will, of being focused on certain things and having action and taking action. And I tend to spend a lot of time, okay, what do I need to do next, kind of thing, and take so much time trying to figure out what I do. I run out of time to do it. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of one of my challenges. But anyway, I was listening to you talk, that book was sitting right here on the thing because I'm rereading that book. I have to read that periodically because I have the same problem. Let me go to Robbie D. Robbie, are you able to? So, what is your one? I know you talked about the financial markets and some of the stuff, and I know you've got a lot of things going. What would you say is your big goal for March?
I hate to copy Ricky, but getting organized. And I wrote down getting things done, the book to get. My goal for March is to get my desk cleaned off and get organized, which is the hardest thing for me because I'm really a scatterbrain. Going from
Okay, here's the
one
deal.
thing to
You don't even
another
have to
thing
buy
to
the
another
book.
thing.
You don't have to buy the book. I'll bring the book to Wednesday's meeting, and
Okay.
whether you or Ricky get to it first, I'll give it to either of you to peruse, and then you can pay it forward to the other guy. And then I'm big on not having a library of stuff that I've read, and actually, if I give it to you and then I look and I don't have it anymore, great, I'll buy it again if I need to. But if you both think that you can apply that book, I'm going to take it right now and put it in my briefcase, so I'll have it tomorrow. How's that?
Sounds good.
So I'm going to do that now. So I put it by my briefcase. So getting more organized getting organized this month in March. I think it's good. It's actually timely. It's kind of interesting because when I'm getting ready to get ready to do my taxes, right?
Me too.
And when I say getting ready to get ready, I always file an extension these days. But I by April 15th, I want to know what the impact's going to be in October when I file the extension. I want to make sure if I have to write a check, I write a check so I don't pay interest or penalty. But so it's actually, March is not a bad time as that kind of theme. But anyway, I don't want to be prescriptive for everybody. Randy, what is your one big goal for March?
Well, actually, I actually have one, and it's not just for March. It's as I have, experienced this brain issue for me is I've been practicing. This is really hard for me. I've been practicing more what I call intentional listening, because I'm one of those guys that always has something to say, as you've all probably experienced. But as I go to the center, and there's people around me like me, I've been trying, rather than telling my story, I've tried to listen to their stories and see how I can help. And I'll just give you an example that just stumbled on the other day. I was in the cafeteria after the morning sessions, and I was having coffee with a few people, and there was several tables in there where people play different card games and tile games and things like that. And the table immediately adjacent to me, there was a guy who was berating a woman for having done or said something, and he was being really obnoxious. And I've never done this before, but I stood up and I walked over to him and I said, "That's unacceptable behavior. This is a safe place. You don't treat other people like that here."
Mhm.
And he just looked at me and I said, "I'm serious." And I turned down and sat down and he shut up. The woman came up to me after the session and just thanked me. And I would never have done that before because I don't like to mind other people's business. But I just thought this was so out of character with the way this place operates that I just had to say something. And then somebody came to me the next day and thanked me for doing that. And that just made me feel good. So I now call it intentional listening instead of the old Randy intentional talking.
Actually, that's a good goal. I think I need to have that one on my list too. So that's good. So Bill.
Yeah, well, my primary goal is one it's been for a long time, and that is just to find more and more opportunities to share what I've learned. And a large part of that, and more recently, I think, is what Randy's talking about, is listening to what's going on around me and what people are saying. And then if I see a need, see something that they're expressing a need, or either directly or indirectly in their conversation, to be able to respond to that and say, have you thought about it, or can I help you? Or in some cases, particularly in cases of, I'm learning more and more where somebody is in grief over a loss of a loved one, to just be there with them and to not try to say anything, just to listen to what they're saying, or just to be there, so they know there's somebody that cares enough to show up. And that's I'm kind of like Randy. You always want to fix things, and sometimes just the best thing you can do is just being there for people that are in the midst of going through something, and that can be very, very rewarding. And that has a tendency, without saying anything, of demonstrating what it is that you're talking about. That's showing part of what your purpose of being here is, and that is to share with others, to share their griefs, to share their joys, and to just be there for them.
Right.
I found, there's a whole lot of talk recently about younger people leaving the church, the institutional church. And what I'm finding is more and more of the younger people are starting to do some of the things they weren't seeing the church doing, which is the reason they left, but they're doing it in the church now. And that's drawing more people to come to see that, hey, we're actually doing something about, racial inequality, or whatever it might be, any subject you want to pick. We're actually being more inclusive. We're actually listening to what people are saying out there and trying to respond to that. And that draws people. If they feel that they, like you were just saying, if they're comfortable, if it's a safe place to be and to express what they're thinking. And that's what I think I need to focus on, is being a safe person for them to talk to, without judgment, and just hearing what they have to say, and of sympathizing with them to the extent that I can.
Amen.
So my one big goal for March, and it's somewhat inspired by some of my own thinking, but now crystallized, if you will, by you guys' feedback. And again, I can't thank you enough, number one, for being here and willing to invest in the five of us that are here, and anybody that may watch this in replay. Believe it or not, even if somebody's not here and they're not expressing their goal or their challenge, that they can listen to our conversation, and it does stimulate. You guys stimulated me as we were talking about not just mine, but the things that are setting to do. And the one thing I want to do, and I have a specific goal for March, I'm going to talk to 15 people on this platform, one-to-one, not new people necessarily, but people that cover the gamut of the people on Wednesdays that show up, and ask them specifically what they're getting out of the group, what they feel has worked for them or is working for them, and what would they like to see us do differently or better.
Right.
So
Or more
I'm going
of.
to do more of. So I'm going to, or stop, actually do more of this, stop doing this, or, do this instead.
Mhm.
Those kind of questions. So
Right.
I think it's kind of a combination of Randy's survey, kind of what we could do in the meeting. I don't want to disrupt success, but I don't
Right.
want to be satisfied with staying where we're at. Because if you know
Amen.
me, I'm never going to be there. If everybody's just happy and turning the crank, and we're just, okay, we're managing a meeting and we're doing this, and okay, next week managing a meeting and doing this, that is, you're going to lose my attention.
Yeah.
There may be some people that like that. That isn't me. So I've got to feel like we're moving forward in a
Yeah.
positive way.
Yeah.
So that's what I have. Any challenges? What would you see? This may be somewhat rhetorical, but it's not really. As you think about that goal, and Robbie D with the getting organized, Ricky with getting organized, Randy with listening, Bill with, more kind of listening, kind of.
Yeah.
What would you see? What each of you? I'm going to come back around. So, Ricky, what would you see as your biggest challenge in that goal of being more organized?
Wow. I guess taking one step at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is, I think you said it is an action, but you're exactly right. I think that the biggest problem that I have in that is generally, and most warriors do as well, right, is continuing to move forward without overcomplicating it, thinking about all of the things. That's one of the risks of me giving you David Allen's book, Getting Things Done, is he's got a whole system and a whole process. And just even the thought of, okay, I got to read that book before I do anything, sometimes can be a deterrent to getting it done. So I think
Right.
actually the challenge of taking a step back and just being willing to take one step at a time is that's a legitimate challenge. It's a challenge for me because I try to do too much at once.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why I chose that 5-day reading through the Bible challenge was I know that something's going to happen, and I need 2 more days in that week to catch up if something, were to happen, and emergency or something. I don't want to make something legalistic. I want to have a disciplined plan of action, not if I don't do it, I'm damned, kind of a thing.
Yeah. No, I think that's being acknowledging the reality of what you're really going to do and doing it is a good thing. So, Robbie D, what about you? What is your biggest challenge in you're being organized? Anything from your standpoint?
For me, I got to take care of my health. Got to get sleep and take care of your health. Because once you have your health and you're sleeping, organization seems to be a little easier when you feeling good, when you want to conquer the world. And that's my goal, is to get and stay healthy so
Yeah.
I can focus on my goals.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think Randy could really appreciate, what I'm saying,
Yep.
because it's tough when you don't sleep, you don't feel good.
Oh yeah.
There's so much you want to do, but you just don't feel physically able to. And that's another frustrating fact of trying to get organized. It's like, why can't I do this? So,
I totally feel you there, brother. And it's not just physically, it's
mental.
it's mentally too. I'm speaking for myself now. Is just not letting all the other things that are
Right.
burdening me keep me from moving forward on the most important things. There's a
Right.
book out, another book that I read years ago called Eat the Frog, and tackling my. If you've not read that book, that's another worthwhile book.
Short
to
read.
Yeah, it's not long, and
No.
but it's actually a good book because it says start off your day just like we're doing here and say, okay, this is my biggest challenge today.
Mhm.
And tackling that before you let the little rocks fill up the glass and your big rock is kicked to the next day. And then so anyway, I'm not doing the book justice, even though it is a short read. Randy, what about you? What's your biggest, I mean, I know you've already been very transparent, clear with the cognitive issue and that sort of thing. But other than that, is there a big challenge that we can be aware of?
I think the biggest challenge that I've had, and I've become aware of this recently. I always have something to say, and even though I know you've encouraged me, and there's value in what I have to say, but in order to do intentional listening, my biggest challenge is to shut my mouth.
Yeah.
And I noticed that the center has been really an eye-opening thing for me because I'm with people of my age, people with similar issues as me, and some older, much older, 10, 15 years older, and they're still active. And so I'm trying to practice more intentional listening as opposed to saying, oh yeah, they say something and that immediately triggers my experience and I share my experience and I found myself shutting up. That incident that I think I've already told you about that happened at the table next to me was
Right.
that really opened my ears and my eyes to myself and said, listen to other people. And then at the appropriate time, not like say, well, they tell me this and that. Oh yeah, well, I've been and immediately give them an answer. Just listen. And at 76 years old, I got to tell you, this is a struggle because this is not how I've acted most of my life. Even though I was in leadership positions and I had to listen, obviously, but now I want to tell them about all my experiences before I die, and that isn't the right way to do it.
Yeah,
so
there's
I
two.
think-
There, you said intentional. You said intentionally listening, but let me
Right.
share. I'm with you there. When you have 5 kids, 4 daughters,
Yep. Oh yeah.
and
Right.
you always want to go into fix mode, and I
mode,
say
right.
you're listening to respond versus active listening to understand.
Right.
And that's what I've had to work on myself, and not just intentional but active
Right.
meaning that instead, and you would be brilliant at, and you are brilliant at this, by the way, just in case that is just asking when you listen and then you understand what they're saying, is then acknowledging and asking a question that is in your mind at that point, not to answer it, not to fix the problem,
Right.
just ensure that you're getting what you're
Right.
picking up what they're putting down, so to speak. Right.
You got
So
it. You got it.
Bill, you were starting to say something, and then I'm looking at your challenge too. So
I wanted to say to Randy, write a book about your experiences, and that will still be around after you're gone for people to be able to learn from. I highly recommend it. Everybody has a story, and very few people actually put it in writing and leave it as a legacy. I think you should probably try to think about that. And if you get into that and you want to look at self-publishing, I can help you with that. I got some people I can put you in touch with. I'm kind of there where Randy is right now. And really what it boils down to is listening more carefully, paying attention to what's actually going on around, rather than trying to think of where else can I take this message? What's another place I can apply this? And just listening to what's happening out there and seeing opportunities arise and then responding to those opportunities. So rather than trying to make opportunities, of listening and looking, being aware when opportunities arise, and then being able to take advantage of those opportunities when they do arise. And I think that requires discipline, because that also removes a lot of the anxiety, because you find out, as I have, that those opportunities are out there, and sometimes you're so focused on trying to think about where else you might go, you miss them. So pulling back, being quiet, listening, being aware of the surroundings and what's going on out there, and then responding to it.
You know, there's a level of brilliance in what Randy is, what each of us are saying here, and that's why the mastermind is so valuable. So my number one challenge is I'm massively oversubscribed right now.
Mm-hmm.
Looking into March, I've got a number of major rocks, if you will, that have been added to my wagon. And so I'm trying to now do a lot of what you're talking about, is get clarity on what is needed in each of those cases, and then how to get organized around that and so on. So, but the big challenge is the level of oversubscription that I've allowed myself to be. And it's not a bad thing. It's doing the things that I feel that I'm inspired and feel were important. So I have those things that I'm working on to get to that point where, you know, I need to get that input from people on what am I doing of all the things that I'm subscribed to and that I'm trying to do, both for our warrior networking community, as well as on Be Connected, as well as you individually as friends, my family, all those things, get some real clarity on what I'm doing, because the only solution I have to being able to, because I only got 24 hours a day like everybody else, is to getting and feeling like at the end of the day, each day, that I'm accomplishing something and not feeling bad about it, and waking up feeling like I'm more overwhelmed than I was the day before, is that's my biggest challenge. But I take to heart some of the things you said in terms of we're planting seeds, we're doing things, we're nurturing it. We're not looking just at the results, but we're looking at getting that feedback.
The other thing I've found with respect to taking on opportunities is that there's a lot of them out there. And I've learned over the years to focus on not to jump at every opportunity that comes along, but to try and focus on the ones where I think I will have the most impact, or that I'm the most attuned to, or that I will enjoy. Actually, that I will enjoy the most is part of it. Rather than committing to things that, I can do that, but am I really the right person? Can somebody else do it better? And do I want to commit that much time to that?
Right.
And I'm finding I only have just a couple of things that I have a long-term commitment to. That's the reason I'm not dating anymore and I don't have a pet. I don't want anymore. I don't want a lot of long-term commitments. And I try to focus some on what's something I can do that's a one-off, that I can do that for a weekend or for a couple of weeks or whatever it is, and participate in that and make a contribution, rather than how many more long-term commitments can I take? Because I've got a couple of them I want to really focus on that are, one of them is like a 5-year commitment.
Wow.
Right.
And so the number one goal there is to live that much longer. And number two is to focus on doing the best job that I can with that particular one, and not adding too much to it. So it goes back to kind of what Ricky Jean was talking about, is a more narrow focus on the best opportunities that you have to make an impact, and then of hoping that it's out there,
Sure.
planting the seed, and then you'll probably be very surprised at some point, like Randy says, people coming up the very next day and saying, "Hey, thank you." Hope that helps.
Okay. Well, any final words? I think we want to land the plane a little early and make sure that you guys can get on to the rest of your day, because I do honor and respect your input into the things that I've been wrestling with here, and it really will provide me value. Any other final thoughts? And then I'm going to make a couple of announcements, if you will, just that we can be on record for.
Okay.
We're all good. So tomorrow is our Wednesday networking meeting. As Ricky said, RSVPing is not a thing anymore, hardly, but I appreciate everybody being there. I do appreciate, by the way, some people are very accountable is probably the best term, where they say, I intended to be there, but I'm not going to be there. They very, very respectful in that. And I want those people, and Randy does that. There's most of the guys that are here on screen and other people, there's a lot of other people that are intentional, and they do overtly do that. So I always appreciate that. I'm going to be in the room, frankly, whether somebody's there or not. The RSVP really is more of a marketing thing. People know that other people are there. They don't care if I'm there, but if they know Bill's there, then they'll come, that kind of thing. And then, so tomorrow's meeting, one of the things Ricky has been part of, and I've been doing, and I'm going to change on this Monday and Wednesday Be Connected thing. We're doing it differently. It's not just kind of an orientation anymore, but it's a strategy. And so I titled it. I was going to be a little more crude in the title, but it's titled Be Connected. What in the world? And that's the headline title. And then, like Monday, we talked about podcasting, and we talked about not only just using Be Connected, but the value of podcasting, why you do podcasting. And Christine Dean and I were on there, and Zip and a couple of other people asking questions. And it's a discussion. I do those on Monday at 1:30 p.m. and on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. So, and those are online in this, they're as we say, live in the Hive. So you can come in either in the chat if you're just a guest, or if you want to be on stage, you just have to let me know, and I'll give you permissions in the room. So, but anyway, so just so you know what's going on there. And for the guys, believe it or not, this is leap year. So, but still, the first Saturday of the month is this Saturday. The second Saturday is a week from this Saturday. So we'll be doing the monthly men's breakfast at the Pancake House. So Randy, I'm hoping to see you there again. If you can, and if you need a ride, let me know.
Okay.
So
thank you.
Anyway, any other announcements or thoughts? Ricky, you got any performances going on or anything we can support you on, or?
Working on them.
Okay. Well, we need to work on it. If you go to a place that seems to have music and you're going there for dinner like I do, I'm always saying, hey, I got a guy that can, improve the quality of your music here. So yeah. And then refer that to Ricky. Well, I appreciate you guys being here more than you know. I appreciate your friendship and the energy that you put into this mastermind for myself, and hopefully you guys have gotten some out of it. My schedule 1-to-1 is in the lower left. If you want to just pop on my calendar for 30 minutes and have any kind of follow-up call, feel free to do that. It's always there, always open to people in the community. Or you guys can just call me or text me. I think you all have my phone number anyway. So it's totally fine to do that. So anyway, thanks guys. Appreciate you. I'm going to end the recording.